This is At Risk Radio.
Welcome to At Risk Radio. At Risk Radio is a show where we talk about leadership in the church at risk. My name is Mark Stafford, and I'm the host of the show. I'm here with David Witt. He is the CEO of SOM International, and with Riadh, he is the Vice President of Operations and International Ministry with Voice of the Martyrs Canada. Now, David, tell me a little bit about your relationship with VOM Canada over the years.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. And it's always such an honor to have our VIP guest here, Riadh. Welcome. We go back a long time with VOM Canada because for my 10 years with VOM USA, we worked with them. I've known Floyd, their CEO, for 20 plus years, and we've been a partnership with them with SOM International, and they are such champions for the persecuted church. In the bigger scope of things, they are members of Religious Liberties Partners, a organization you and I have talked about, Mark.
Yeah.
And Riadh is a little bit newer to VOM Canada, so I'm just getting to more growing my relationship with him. But so captivated by his story, his heart, and his contribution to serving the church at risk. So I wanted to invite him on to hear his story. So Riadh, again, welcome, and welcome from Canada to USA. You're with a warm hug, brother.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much,
you got
Mark and David. It's an honor to be.
So Riadh, out of the gate here, as believers, we always love to hear how Christ captivated our hearts. This is a leadership podcast, and we like to look at how God really builds us up to be lights in this world and leaders. Share your story of how you came to Christ.
My name is Riadh Jaballa, and I came from North Africa, from Tunisia, as a Muslim background. I grew up in family, heritage from Islam, but really they don't practice Islam. They are really open. So in that time, I grow in this culture and this doctrine. Doesn't mean I don't practice Islam, but practice with careful, because I'm not really agree with the point in doctrine, and I ask all the time questions here and there. All the time, my dad, he told me, Riadh, you're gonna have trouble in your life. I said, okay, I'm ready for that, because really I'm not convinced about because I'm growing. I don't choose this faith, so this is why I ask questions here and there. So through what they have, the Quran, the holy faith of Islam, and it's not convinced me. So way I go to ask the leaders, they call imam, and ask him questions here and there. So they told me, you're not allowed to ask all these questions about how the Islam treat women, how about Islam allow us to go to the Meg to do it perennials, and I don't understand in that time how I can turn around the stones, and God forgive me. So all the time also I saw God is too far from me, and how God deal with my faith with acts, and repeated the same words, sentences, verses, and prayer for days. So for me, I don't understand all this kind of a doctrine. So right away, I start my searching in age 16, 17, and age 18, God opened the door for me to go outside to study in the Middle East. The law and the archaeology. So at that time, I start really searching about God and compare about Christianity and Islam and Judaism and any kind of and faith in that time, especially in the Middle East. Really have riches area and land. Through my study and connected people, they have many kind of faith. So I start to ask question here and there. So to make sure, short, in that time, especially in that area, in that country, I was in Syria. It's not easy for me to enter a church as a Muslim. So God opened the door for me to find a broadcast in the radio in Cyprus. So in that time, right away, I heard about the gospel and the Bible, and you have like discussion. So right away, usually in that time, especially internet, it's not really it's not really exist everywhere at that time. So right away, after the broadcast in the radio, they mentioned their address, mailbox address. So right away, I wrote the mail, their address, and usually, when somebody wrote a letter, usually maybe one paper. For me, I wrote for them 95 paper, ask
Yeah,
all questions about.
95 papers. So if I get this right,
That's like the Wittenberg
yeah,
door.
so you went to you were studying the Middle East. If I get this right, so you're studying the Middle East. You're wrestling with
Right.
your faith. You're questioning some things about Islam, about how they're treating women, about what their basis of truth is. And at this point, you write this paper, not 95 pages long. Is that am I understanding that right?
Yes.
Of just questions you have about Islam.
Ex-
I just want to recap this along the way, if that sounds about right. And then when you submitted
Yeah.
this paper, then what happened? That must have been quite a ripple effect at that point.
Yeah. So thank you. When I talk with you guys now, my memory go back in that time in 1988, actually, in that time. And I ask a question compared. And when I ask this question, believe me, at that time, yes, I'm Muslim, but I pray for them. Gonna read all this question and reply to me if they're gonna
Right.
reply. So anyway, I ask a question about the doctrine in Christianity, and I compare in
Right.
Islam. So 2 weeks when I received it from them, all my answer about my question, I can't believe. When I took my mailbox, my letter, I go home right away. I open with excited, with curiosity, and right away they wrote to me with all the respect and they go all details in my question. I said, come on, how these people, they have a lot of grace and patience with me. We don't know each other. So anyway, at that time when they reply to me, answer to me, yes, I'm not really satisfied
Right.
100%, but I'm really curious more to ask more question. And I ask him, can I start with you study Bible study or theology and something like this? Do you have any courses in that time? They are, I believe, when they received my letter and my question about that, they are very surprised how this guy just he's searching and right away he asked to study. So anyway, to make shortly, right away they send me courses so I can write something about the theology at that time. Bible study.
So hey, you know what, Riyadh, we want to hear the rest of the story, and we got to run to a break. So when we get back from this break, we're going to hear about how they responded to all of these questions. So hey, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
At Risk Radio.
Can you imagine trying to disciple a church with only one Bible? This is Mark Stafford from At Risk Radio, and our contacts in Venezuela are telling us incredible stories about people coming to know Jesus, all the while pastors are missing Bibles for their people. After receiving a Bible from our ministry, one man said with tears in his eyes, "No one has ever given me such a beautiful gift." At Risk Radio, in our partnership with SOM International, is working to bring 2 million Bibles into Venezuela. For more information about how you can help, go to atriskradio.com.
At Risk Radio.
Welcome back to At Risk Radio. I'm online with David Witt. David Witt is the CEO of SOM International. Also online with Riadh, and he is with Voice of the Martyrs Canada. Now, Riadh, you were just telling us about this experience you had of questioning your faith, of writing a 95-page list of questions, of submitting that to those who were in charge, and now there's their response. So tell us, as they responded to those questions, how did that affect you, and how did that ultimately lead you to a relationship with Christ?
Oh, thank you, Mark. When I received all this answer, right away, something changed in my soul, actually, in my mind also, to go more deeply in my questions and about the Christianity. So right away, I suggest to them that they have course and to study. They send me course. I start with them. The course took me 1 year. So I finished my study as academic. I'm searching. But God, in that time, He told me, "Hey, listen, Riyadh. I know you're
Right.
searching, but you are in the good way and the good spot to know more about me." I remember in that time when I received it also from them, from these people in radio broadcast in Cyprus. They send me a Bible. They send me also literature. So I read and compare more. One day in 1997, I remember that day, myself in my room. So I started to talk with God and I told him, listen, I have everything. You show me everything. These people, they are amazing. They send me everything about
Right.
Christianity. And for me, something to be confessed that I received you as Lord in my life. Here we go. Please
Mm.
change me. Please use. I start to crying that day. I never forgot. I don't know why, but I feel peace, a lot of peace, and also I'm very excited to be with the Lord and serve Him. After that, actually, I go back to Tunisia. So another journey with the Lord. I thought this is I'm the first believer in that time, but God showed me other believers in Tunisia, and we start together ministry in Tunisia and planting a church in Tunisia.
Wow, Riyadh, I love this parts you're bringing out. Some of the things I'm even hearing is, again, the access to the Word of God and how God led you in a very narrow path, but how you're really bringing out how most North Africans don't have that access to have their questions answered
Right.
and to really grow in the Lord. But ultimately, was it knowledge? It was truly the Lord who saved you, who spoke to you and gave you that peace and then you thought you were the only believer. and I want
Yeah,
I want radio people in North America to think about that. What when you come to Christ, what would it be like if you thought you were the
Yeah,
only
that's incredible.
believer? And so the Lord really has prepared you well for the persecuted church. And I want you to go on now too to talk about how you've grown in serving our persecuted brothers and sisters and what that looks like, and keep on going. And well, specifically though, let me, Riyadh, let me land you with this. How were you first persecuted, though? I guess let's get the rest of that context, and then let's build it up to really how you're serving the persecuted. But how have you been persecuted yourself?
yeah. So at that time, God opened the door for me to have good position in the government. I work with the Ministry of Agriculture. I thank God in this position. When we work, especially with these people like this, it's not really easy for you as Christian. So I can't share. I can't really speak openly with them. So I thank God. I said, God, listen, it's really good position for me, but I can see all this corruption, lying, hypocrisy. I can't resist in this time. So anyway, God also gave me, I believe, gift in the voice. So I started recording the Bible in Tunisian language. From that time, also, God gave me peace to resign from my job. So right away, I go to France to finish my study, Master of Theology in Strasbourg. From that time, God also put it in my way. Friends that I know a long time ago, they are missionary in Tunisia, and they told me, "Hey, yeah, what do you think if you can start broadcast in TV? And are you ready for that?" I told him, "Man, you surprise me, and come on, I never thought about that." He said, "Listen, think about it and pray." At that time, also, I'm married. My wife, she's Christian. Both of us and my brother-in-law, we discuss that will be the first show and broadcast in TV in Tunisian language. We also used the Arabic standard that every Arab they can understand. So we start discipleship and evangelism through this broadcast, and we can see this broadcast in TV Hayat, so everybody can see through the satellite. So how return to your question, David? How it started the persecution? From that time, I was in France, in Marseille, and I'm the guy. I'm not shut my mouth. I'm very street guy. I social guy. I love people. I love talk with the people. So I do it also some evangelism with North African living in Marseille in South France.
Riyadh, I'm gonna have, this is a good cliffhanger here, because we're gonna go to part 2, and we got to wrap up part 1 here, and I want people to hold on for next week to hear now the persecution and now how you're serving the persecuted, because unfortunately we're always fighting that clock. So we need Mark to bring us out, and so everybody hang on, because you're going to hear the rest of the story this next week.
Right. Well, hey, Riadh, first of all, thank you for coming on the show, and we're encouraged by your testimony about how God has called a man like you out of Tunisia, and you were able to interact with the gospel. And we want to continue to give people opportunity to hear the gospel in all corners of the world. And the way you can get involved with getting the gospel to every corner of the globe is by, first of all, subscribing to our newsletter. In our newsletter comes out every month. It features stories from those who are serving on the front lines in the most restricted areas in the world for the gospel. You can sign up for that at atriskradio.com.
And also, if people want to get a hold of Riadh, you can go to VOM Canada. It's persecution.com, correct, Riadh?
VOM.org.
VOM.org. Okay, on the line, if you want to get a hold of Riadh directly that way too.
Okay. Well, hey, lastly, At Risk Radio and SOM International, they're funded by you. We're supported as you sign up to become a monthly donor. We also support those who are risking much with those same donations that come in. Also, when you buy books from our bookstore, David, we just launched the SOM bookstore. It is at sombookstore.com. It features a number of titles from those who are, many people who are our authors, are serving on the front lines in the persecuted church. You can visit the SOM bookstore at spiritofmartyrdom.com or at sombookstore.com. Until next time, my name is Mark Stafford, and this has been At Risk Radio.
You've been listening to At Risk Radio. For more, go to atriskradio.com. At Risk Radio is a production of SOM International.